And look like I lost connection to Facebook, so I will fix that later. Oh, here's Ryan. Add him to this thing, and now we are all here. Well,
What's up,
first,
Ryan? How you doing, buddy?
Hey boys, I'm doing all right.
yeah, everybody enjoys Spotty, but hey, let's go ahead and get through this thing. First and foremost, happy Man Mental Health Awareness Month, and We'll start with Jack and work our way to Ryan. Why do you think men's mental health is important right now, as the day is concerned?
Well, it's important for me. I know I just had a 45th birthday in March, and I'm gonna be very honest here. I was having some intrusive thoughts, just about life and everything else. Like, not that I was ever do anything like that, but the thoughts came up, and I was like, you know what? This is a sign that I need help, and that I need, to like talk to someone about these things and work it out. And so I started seeing therapy, and I go once a week. And it's been really good. I've been doing a lot of what they call shadow work, is like dealing with, things that are, traumatic or whatever, bringing them back up and trying to integrate them. Instead of trying to turn your back on the bad things that are in your life, you try to integrate it to make you a stronger person. So for me, it's been a lot, and I'm really glad that I reached out to get therapy, and I encourage other people to do that when you feel lonely, when you feel depressed, or when you have those questioning moments, which I had. It's like a light in your car, check engine light, and you should pay attention to it. And I did, and I'm doing great. Like, I'm really, it's a challenge, it's hard work, but I'm glad I'm doing it.
Now, Jack, may I ask you to expand on why you feel like you were having those type of thoughts?
I think it was just I lost a lot this year. I lost a lot of close friends. I went through some pretty like pivotal moments, witnessing like death and stuff like that, and it was just a lot. I felt overwhelmed. I didn't feel like was it? I didn't feel like I wanted to kill myself or anything like that, but the thought came up. It's like, you know what? This is really stressful. I feel backed up in a corner, and I feel like my options are limited. And so I panicked, and I started having these fantasies about things. And then when I started having the fantasies about them, I had to stop myself and say, you know what? This isn't a good thing to have. This is meaning that I need, some kind of help. And yeah, I got that help. And, like, things are challenging, of course, but I'm getting through it. I have good support. And that's what I encourage everyone to do, is to get good support.
Hmm, that's what's up, Ryan.
Hey boys, I think the Men's Mental Health Awareness Month or Men's Mental Health is an important topic, just like it is for anybody. And whatever that means to the person is the most important. Like, congratulations, Jack, hitting your issues head on, going to therapy if that's right for you. But if it's something is different for somebody else, reading, thinking, spirituality, going to church, whatever that is, and whatever helps that person address, deal with, process, think about anything for their mental health or that just to better themselves in any way is positive. And there's been a long, of course, history of men ignoring their mental health issues. So it's a positive to be out there in the zeitgeist or people talking about it.
Hmm. Now, why do you think society as a whole is trying to sometimes kind of push men mental health to the back burner and doesn't make it as important as it should be?
Uh, Without wading into two hot button political topics right now, if you're not some kind of oppressed minority of some kind that you can generate, your issues are getting pushed to the back burner. And I don't want to get into negativity or anything on this topic or that, but we can all sort of sense the general political climate. Men push themselves to the back out of bravado and machismo for many years. And now society's doing it kind of because I'm guessing if, there's the forefront of who's the loudest on Twitter get the public awareness points.
Hmm.
I also think there's a big difference between like victimhood and self-help. And that gets confused a lot of times. You know, like when you do things to better yourself or you realize that you have like vulnerabilities, instead of playing it up as being a victim, you go ahead and you bring it out to, you know, it's like we do in lifting. We find our weak points and we bring it out and we work on it and we train it till it becomes our best points. But if you're not doing that and you're just being like, oh, this is my burden, and you know, that gets celebrated more in society, as Ryan is saying, the victimology gets celebrated more than the actual, you know, doing something and self-help. So I think that says something about society in general, you know, and it has a very deleterious effect on men, especially.
Good point. And those are some good points because I do see how society kind of, push manhood sometimes to the background. Or just last year, they had a debate on TikTok with you'll be want to be in the woods alone with a man or a bear, and the bear was up 75% to 25%. And I think sometimes we took a heavily loss on that. So why do you think that people think that men are so dangerous? Or why is it being pushed that manhood is so dangerous?
I don't know if people actually think it. There's a always a disparity between someone how they answer a survey, spout off online, or type or talk about things, than the answer they would give in total anonymity or total anything else. It's like saying what they think the group think want them to say. It's pretty obvious that it's safer to be with a rando dude than a frickin' bear in the forest. If you take your put your critical thinking hat on, or being from Canada or the Pacific Northwest, where I have seen bears, this is not a real choice. It was an intellectual exercise to bring up issues. Okay, fair, framed like that. You see what I mean? But in reality, that's not the correct answer. So it's just it's what people think that they should be saying that doesn't necessarily have a bearing in reality is what the man versus bear argument was. Now, they're trying to bring up points, men, this, that, violence, domestic violence, partner violence, various statistics and this and that. Some of those are fair. I don't think the world is any more of a violent place. It's actually less violent than the 70s, but a 24-hour news cycle and social media cycle mean you hear about everything. Even if less of it's happening, it's being broadcast for clicks and views and engagement and all of that. We just hear more about it, which skews our perception. Like it's whatever that is, perception bias or something like that, I think. And political correctness are getting in the way of critical thinking and reality on some of these things.
Good point. Jack?
It has to do with just how men are being brought up now too, because I've had this problem too. Is I was very reactionary all through my childhood, my young adulthood, and now I'm just learning how to, you know, not be so reactionary and to take silence and take that moment to like think things through and to let my emotions out before I react to something. And a lot of young men aren't being taught that, so that's why there's a lot of domestic violence is happening. I'm seeing like grown children like throwing temper tantrums. That's what a lot of domestic violence and that kind of violence comes from, is them acting out some kind of insecurity they have and not being taught how to healthily, you know, make decision making and react or not react. I think in being a man, there's more power in silence. Like I was walking down, I'll give you an example. I was walking down the sidewalk the other day, and I've been practicing, you know, this, and this homeless guy came up and started harassing me on a bike. And, you know, he kept trying to talk to me. And finally, I just stared at him. I just stared at him. I didn't say a word. And I just stared right into his soul. And he was like, all right, man. And he just rode his bike off. And it, like, that just shows the power of silence over the power of like reaction, instead of me being like, what's up, motherfucker? What do you want to do? Which I would have done in the past. I went ahead and just took a moment and I was like, no, I'm not going to be weak by like, you know, turning away from this, but I'm also not going to be reactionary. I'm just going to, be strong in my silence. And that's one thing that I think men and children, boys, need to be taught to grow up to be men, because that's where men's true strength is. It's not in their, fury. It's in the silence. That's when you should fear a man, is in their silence.
That's a good point. I recently made a post which I 100% agree with, but I want to see if you guys also agree with it. I truly believe that most young men who grew up in the urban environment or the inner city environment would benefit from focusing on reading and writing and some type of anger management tools. And I think if they focus on those two things alone, the prison industrial system would go bankrupt. Who wants to take that one first?
I'll go. I don't know if, again, Canadian perspective here. I grew up in the inner city up here. Reading, writing, and anger management or outlets, whether they're healthy, sports, anything like that, are good for anybody. I just didn't want to, I don't know how to paint that as an urban only kind of thing. There's some country boys that could probably learn how to read and write and manage their anger that would benefit them and society as a whole. I think this is going to sound like a little offbeat take on this. In addition to reading and writing, you mentioned anger management. I think some of the problems that are happening, people crashing out, people different things, is gonna might sound crazy, but we'll get there. The stopping of gym class and sports and physical activity in schools and things like that. You got kids, you're doping up on meds for ADHD when, just like a dog, man, if you had them running all day or playing sports or doing things, they're going to learn respect, teamwork, all these different values, right? Like reading, writing, absolutely. Literacy going up means less violence, less acting out, less everything. Anger management would be a tool, but so is playing football. Like, it doesn't matter for the sake of playing football, for the sake of physical activity, burning off energy and your psyche. I think that would also benefit a lot of young men right in schools and everything like that if they played some sports again or even gym class.
Yeah, we lost Jack. He was in the Matrix for in the Matrix for a second. I don't know if he can you hear us now.
I can hear you. Yeah, and I heard what you said, Ryan, and I agree. I mean, I think, like, to add to everything that the Pope said, like, you need reading comprehension and just general understanding and that sort of thing, but a physical outlet for that too, because that's what a man is. They're a pent up testosterone, and the real power and magic of a man is when you're able to focus that aggression and that testosterone into something productive. And I don't think we value that enough. Instead, we kind of, like, I guess, in this reactionary society, this like TikTok society where it's like 20-second clips, we look towards violence, we look towards, the flashy things. But sometimes, we need to use that for a productive reason. I think athletics is a great thing that teaches discipline, and, focuses that on a goal that someone can be proud of instead of being in prison or, in trouble for.
Good point. Maybe I don't know how long ago this study was done, but a young lady who thought that men had the easy life, so she went and presented herself as a man for a sociological experiment. She dressed herself as a man. She made herself look as masculine as possible, and then she realized, unfortunately, it was very lonely being a man. And she got to the point where she got so depressed as she deleted herself because people feared her or did not even want to associate with her because of the loneliness or the fear from other women. Why do you think that this sociological experiment did not work? And why do you think what could be the positive, I guess, results from looking at the sociological experiment and the failures of it?
I'm going to go with the experiment did work.
She deleted herself, Ryan.
That's unfortunate, but the experiment proved that there's a different paradigm experience for everybody, and you can't necessarily comment or judge on somebody else's. The fact that there's a perception out there that being a man is any easier, it's different. It's not easier, it's not harder either, I don't think, than the experience of a lady, or pick a gender, pick a sociological, pick a race group, pick. Everyone's got their struggles. and it's all about how you perceive them. So she found out it's like an FAFO. It worked exactly. She found out that it wasn't all rainbows and unicorn farts or whatever she was thinking it was, or everything was all going to be all of a sudden you're Captain America and everything's wonderful and people just bow down to your manness and care and do all of that. You're going to find out right quick you're expendable. Nobody gives a shit. Work harder. All these different lessons. You ain't got no friends all of a sudden. Right? Like all of that, and everyone's out to get you. Or, I'm being over the top, but just to illustrate the point, I think the experiment worked out perfectly. Not for her, or FAFO, but also just that it's a different paradigm. And I'm sure if we all truly dress like ladies, and this is interesting with the whole trans thing going on, we'd find a different paradigm right quick if we actually could pass. There's, I'm not passing; it would be worse. But like if we would find out that everyone leads, pick an expression, walk a mile in their shoes, and all that kind of stuff, you're going to find out it's no easier or harder, just different, easier or harder.
Mm. Jack.
Yeah, I mean, like I want to, I feel bad that she definitely self-deleted herself. That's awful. And you never want that for anyone. But I think it does prove a point that, men live a lonelier life than women do. Women get attention throughout their life, just for existing. While a man, it's a very lonely experience, and not many women understand how lonely it really is because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the deafening loneliness that the of the male experience, and it really is. But the good thing about that is that we have to really fight and earn those relationships, those friendships, and in the end they're more valuable because we went through a process, of going through real loneliness, to find someone to have companionship with. So it means that much more to us.
Mm. Yeah, I watched like a ABC special maybe like last year or 2 years ago, and they was talking about I guess after a certain point, and normally for men your wife is your best friend, and maybe you have a small circle of other people, but most men are currently dying from male loneliness because we have no one once the wife pass away, we have no one once the kids move on with their lives. So it is, I think brotherhood is very important. Unfortunately, most of the people I'm really, really close with live thousands of miles away. So, who do you consider your close brothers, and why is that bond important to sustaining your life long term? Ryan?
Um, Honestly, at this point, in terms of my regular day to day life, I have a circle of acquaintances, no real close buddies. And most of my deeper relationships now are through the magic of technology are out in Facebook land or lifters I've met all over the world and different things like that because, we walk through the same fires, you build a bonding experience, that kind of stuff. For me, it's at the gym or now with Muay Thai and kickboxing and combat sports. But it's really just like, buddies to go hang out with or event with or have a, BS session, but it's not necessarily ride or die buddies. The last ride or die buddies I had were college and high school age, which is when most of those relationships are formed. And if they stick, they stick. And if they don't, they don't, right? Like the older you get, when the kids move out, the wife, you passes or divorce, and you realize that those relationships are 30 years old because you didn't put much work into other ones or circumstances and whatnot. But I would have to go with, yeah, most of my closest relationships now are in internet land, um, other than sort of my closest circle of gym bros, but it's different types of relationships, right?
Good point, Jack.
Like I think that right now with men, my closest circle is my lifting community, and I find that I have, even though you're like thousands of miles away or whatever, it's like Ryan was saying, you have a connection with these people because you know how much it takes and how much we sacrifice to, perform, to compete. We go through injuries, we go through this, and, whatever mental, emotional things we're going through, we push through it. And we've got respect for each other, and it's kind of a common bond we all share. And so, whenever I see a lifter or, Instagram or at a meet or whatever, there's an immediate bond because it's like I know how hard you worked. You know what I'm saying? Anyone, I have respect for anyone, whether you're fucking squatting 90 pounds to like 700 pounds. You know, I have respect for anyone because I know that it took a process and I know it took a lot of pain to get where they are, and I respect that. So I think that's where my real bond is. I have a close friend of mine, Shlomo. He's like a little brother though. He's like in his 20s, and so it's great to kind of have a connection with someone from a younger generation that I can just impart some of my wisdom onto some of the things, tell them not to do some of the things I've done because I have made a lot of mistakes in my life, but if I can help someone out, I'm going to be there for them.
Good point. And personal note, salute to Kevin. Ryan, we got to figure out somewhere where we need to meet in person because you're last on deck. But salute to Kevin for driving from Maine to Washington, D.C. area just to support me during my last meet. That is true, true, true friendship. Day one, I was kind of a little weirded out. At the end of the day, I still had like a 7 foot Viking in my house. But hey, man. And I still appreciate him coming all the way down from Maine just to make sure can support me mentally. And I do got to figure out a way where I can meet up with Ryan so I can finally meet up with him face to face because he's the last one on deck.
Yeah, we'll figure it out sometime, Norris. You got to
Hey,
go on a
man.
vacation up here, or I got to go on a vacation out there, or something like that, or even reasonably close. We'll figure it out, brother.
Hey, we'll meet somewhere in the universe in the middle, but I'm looking forward to it. And it's been very weird this last 4 years of just meeting people on some type of fitness forum and then just connecting with them in person. And it's always the same personality that you've been talking to off and on for years. So that's one thing I will give you guys that you still are very consistent in your personality when I do meet you in person. So commitment to you guys. My my next question is I've been noticing that people are trying to do these social divides, including myself sometimes, but just for funsies and money. But why do you think that people want to keep on dividing men from women by relationship questions or physical violent questions? Why are these social divides are getting more and more popular amongst the masses on TikTok or whatever we put them out into the universe? Ryan?
I'm gonna. Oh, who's gonna go?
You can go, Ryan.
All right. You kind of talked about it. I think it's the paradigm itself of TikTok and these different kinds of things. You got 20 seconds to rage bait somebody into clicking, commenting, and engaging. If you had a post about bringing people together, go check the metrics on it. Now
Zero.
post a post about division, divide and conquer, rage bait, clickbait, whatever kind of topic that's going to get a rise out of somebody, and it's profitable. So it's been like this not since the social media era. It goes prior to that. Even the news, 6 o'clock news, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when they figured out that rage bait got clicks and views, and sensationalism. So whether it's a sensational relationship question, or a sensational battle of the sexes question, or a sensational something or other, sensational, like angry people click, react, and engage more than someone that's like, wow, that's a pleasant meme or that's a pleasant point. I'm a little better off today, but that person might not click, like, engage, just scroll by. And therefore, in our world of monetized clicks,
Ryan, you are 100% correct because you have been there to fight the good fight and seen some of the crazy comments that I go through on my monetized page. It even got to the point that someone who lives in my city jumped out there, and I was like, "I'm not a social media person. We can have this conversation face to face. You live in Washington D.C. If you truly feel this way, come meet me at Gold's parking lot and say it to my face." And I'm willing to deal with whatever conversation, that whatever consequences that conversation lead to. But I crickets, but of course, because we all live in social media outrage and anger. Twitter fingers. Those Twitter fingers were talking,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I even posted a post like, you realize this is not real. I do this because I was able to buy a TV. I was able to help my lovely wife buy a stove, a washer, and this is what we do to make money. I don't care about your relationships, but it does make more money than a positive post of young men staying out of jail. Unfortunately, Jack.
I think like the divide within the sexes really comes down to dehumanization.
Mm,
And I've experienced this in person. I was close friends with someone, a female, and she had a boyfriend. And the boyfriend started, getting jealous, and that I was just, hanging out, like nothing was happening. And we were friends before she started dating this guy. And the guy got jealous, and she was like, "Oh, maybe it isn't right for a guy and a girl to be friends. I'll go check Reddit." And I was like, okay. I mean, you just like completely devalued our friendship, and I was like, that's cool. And yeah, I just ended up walking away from that, friendship. She ended up splitting up with that boyfriend, duh, because jealousy is very toxic, and I told her that. But it's the dehumanization. It's women saying that men are good for nothing except for the attractive sex side of things, and men doing the same, denigrating women only to their sexuality, and not realizing that we're all human, and we really have feelings, empathy, hardships that we go through, and that there are people underneath it. I mean, sure, sexualize someone, but realize that they're a human being beneath that. And I think we lose that a lot. There's a lot of dehumanization these days, and it's very troubling to me, and it's very upsetting to me also.
good point. All right. My final question is, at least I'm gonna give you a little time to think about it, but give me three principles that, I mean, keep your manhood 100% in check, or you would like to pass on to the youth. Ryan looked like
I
he
can
ready to
answer.
fire off.
I can answer this one really easy, like extraordinarily easy, almost in a funny, not in a funny way, but okay. So three things to live by:
Yes.
gravitas, dignitas, integritas, which are the three virtues of a Roman citizen. Gravity is understanding the gravity of a situation, not gravity of the world or Newton. When to fuck around, when to have fun, when to be serious, like gravity in the gravity of a situation. Understanding that, when to act and how to act accordingly. Integrity, obviously, act with integrity. And dignity, always maintain your dignity. And why I say that was very easy for me to answer and live by, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it per se, but gravity, dignity, and integrity are right across the belly. Gravitas, dignitas. So, there you go, boys. The three virtues of a Roman citizen. And if everyone had those, or worked towards them, or thought about them, you can't say understanding a situation and acting accordingly with dignity and integrity would be a poor societal life choice for people.
Good point, Jack.
Those are great ones, by the way. But I think for me, it would be strength. A man should be strong. I don't care what anyone says. They're, like how weak you're born or whatever. A man should develop strength and build it. Another one is integrity, of course. That's very important for being a man, is keeping your integrity and sticking to your word. And the final one I would say is patience, one that's not taught enough, one that's helped me develop more as a man as I'm reaching my late 40s is patience. And I'm working on that. That's like the one that I've really had to put in a lot of work on because, yeah, I do want to crash out sometimes, but I'm just like, I have to be patient. Or in my training, I want to do everything at once, but I know I have to be patient. Or going through an injury, I have to be patient. So those are the three that I think are important for me.
I like that. I'm gonna give you my three. I think for young men, especially men in general, always be kind, always be aware of your surroundings and be stoic to any situation you're in, and always use logic before you use reaction. Because if you use logic first, most of these times, these situations that men get themselves into could be avoided. We just take a little time and let logic take over. Now, some situations are worthy of crashing out for. If somebody do something to your wife or family, feel free to bring the gates of hell. But other than that, maybe just a little bit of logic can take you a long way. And before you make your final decision, just remember, go to your bathroom, lock yourself in your bathroom for 24 hours, and then put another person in there with you that you don't know where their mindset is, and then figure out whether or not you want to take it upon violence and chaos. Ryan, what's your final thoughts?
If be aware of yourself and your mental health. Work on it. Just like I like that. Jack brought up earlier in the conversation. It was just a good point. The difference between victim mentality and just working on your weaknesses, right? Just work on it, whatever that is for you. People should be aware and to work to improve themselves in any which way, whether that's not crashing out, not reacting, acting better in a situation, critical thinking. All of that is tied into your, wellness and mental health and all of that kind of stuff. If think of how much we've all worked on our bench press. Imagine if 1% of that effort we put into our bench press, we'd put into our mental health over the time it took us to build that bench press.
No.
Right? Like we might be, hell, at this point, I might be just floating around with as pure energy at this point if I'd put as much effort into my mental health and well-being as I'd put into my physical prowess over the years. Right now,
Mm.
call them A, call them B. You don't want to, you still got to work on everything, but a little bit of effort into your health and wellness and critical thinking, I think, is where my final thought of the sort of where we should go with the mental health month and everything like that, or these topics today.
Hey, sometimes the physical fitness game costs yourself some mental health issues. I know every once in a while, I'm just like I was feeling good until I went to the gym, and now I feel even worse because I'm comparing myself just to the rest of the world or someone else's level of strength. So I know sometimes even I get on myself like, damn, I'm comparing myself to the rest of the world. But if I was totally honest with myself, the rest of the world is not doing this. It's only a small group of people, and those small group of people are just I mean, they're dealing with the same mental issues I'm dealing with. They just probably just not
So
mentioning it.
the only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday.
Oh, if that was the case, then I'm very proud of me.
You should be. You should be.
I'm very proud of me because 3 years ago I said I would never do a few things that I'm currently doing on a very high level, and I'm just very proud of me. I hanged in there. I took a lot of bumps along the way, but I'm very proud of me. Jack, what's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is that men out there should not be afraid to ask for help.
Mm,
And that took me a lot. I consider myself a giver, and I like to give a lot and a lot. But I was doing that too much, and when I was feeling pain or something, I wouldn't ask for the help because I assumed that people would just see it and come by and help me. But they don't. People are so involved in what they're going through that unless you speak up, unless you say something's going on, unless you seek that help, you're not going to get that help. Nothing is given to you. So go seek help. Don't think of it as a weakness. It's a strength. It's like when you hire a coach for a powerlifting competition, you're giving yourself an advantage in life. So seeking help is not a weakness. It's actually a very strong thing that men can do and seek help, whether it's therapy, whether it's, mentorship, whether it's, just general advice from someone who's been through the same shit as you. Go out there, seek it, and, don't get overwhelmed because we're all in the same boat.
good point. One last question. This just came to top of mind. Give me a quote that you live by, Ryan.
Uh, that's a tough one because I like this. I like quotes and I like different things like that. And some of them are long, or some of them are big ones, or whatnot. And I wish I could remember it off the top of my head. But the one that's mostly been floating around in myself is "The Man in the Arena" by Roosevelt, where it's really about getting out there and putting yourself out there, and fuck the haters because they're not the ones out in the arena. Like, it's a long, involved quote. Everyone look it up. "Man in the Arena," Roosevelt. It's like a paragraph though, and I can't memorize it. But it's about the man out there in the middle of the arena getting after it or doing whatever it is, and not the critics on the sideline, right? Like, go there, try
It's
something new, do
also
something different.
Also, if I remember that quote correctly, it's about, hey, if you lose, at least you lost, because a lot of
Yeah,
people haven't even gotten in there and tried.
that's right. Whether you put up a W, you put up an L, that other
Mhm.
person's 0-0.
Yeah.
And you 0-1 is better than 0-0. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who've never stepped in that arena, right? Like, go experience,
Mhm.
go try, go do something like that. But the "Man in the Arena" quote has been getting close to like tattoo status for me at this point. Now I'm covered head to toe in tattoos, so it's not as big of a decision. But we're running out of real estate. But I might get some real estate on that one.
Good point. Jack, what's a quote that you live by?
I'm just gonna like there's a bunch, but I'm just gonna go with Nietzsche and I'm gonna butcher this, but whatever you survive makes you stronger. Because that's just been a general theme of my life is just, surviving, and just coming out the other end better, whether it's bruised and scarred and, whatever. At least I made it through the other side. And yeah, I take every day as a blessing with no matter how much hardship I have. Pain is the realization that you're alive, and you should take that as a blessing.
That's a good one. I'm gonna give you guys two. I know most people not gonna like the first guy because he doesn't look like what his quote was, but his quote is very powerful. You should be a monster, and you should learn how to control the monster. Jordan Peterson. And my favorite quote, and this guy definitely lives by this quote. Somewhere out there, there's a motherfucker out there who wants everything you have. He wants the wife that you have, or the husband you have, or the job you have. There's a motherfucker out there plotting to take everything that you have. Now, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Stay hard, David Goggins. Now, we all love that guy.
Here we do.
Jordan Peterson quote. Hey, I think he made a good point about you should be a monster. You just need to learn how to control the monster.
Absolutely.
Hey man, I love you guys. We're gonna do this again, I guess, in a few months. But it was nice catching up with you again, Ryan. We gotta figure out somewhere we gotta meet in the middle, brother, because you're on deck.
Awesome. Absolutely, Norris. It was good to see you guys again. And there we go, right? So, what's everyone's next? So, like, last question here. We usually end off with this, or it's not a question. What's next for everybody else in their lives? Like, what's your
Uh,
biggest thing coming up right now, Jack and
Going to nationals in July in New Jersey, and so I'm gonna try to take all the national and state records there. I'm learning a new technique in deadlift because of my back. So I had to go from conventional to sumo with a hook grip to make everything even. And that's been working well, but it's relearning the deadlift from ground one. And so I've had to take a lot of humility in my jumps. Like 475 right now is a challenge with the hook grip. Because as you can see, I tore my thumb because I'm still learning how to like get here instead of too high on my thumb. So yeah, it's a process, but I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to nationals. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Good point. Matter of fact, I think Ben is doing his meet today, and his bench has blown up. Oh my Jesus! Oh my Jesus! If
His squat has too. He's really strong.
Oh my Jesus! Oh my Jesus! If it all pulls together, he might hit total of 16 today if it all comes together. Oh my Jesus! That's all I'm gonna say. And he might hand out some L's today. I'm looking forward to the video. Probably gonna be posted on TikTok, IG. Ryan, what's your goal? And I'll answer last. What's your goals coming up?
I am week one into what amounts to a contest prep. for my trip to Poland to do K1 Muay Thai professional kickboxing camp, where I'm going to fly across the world to spend a couple weeks in Poland, training 3 times a day, living, eating, breathing with pro fighters. And for the first time in my life, or in years and years and years, I'm not lifting weights, and my goal is to be the smallest human being I could possibly be. I'm probably the smallest guy on this call now, which is funny because I used to be the biggest in this crew. And I'm dieting down to 185 pounds for this. And I
Jeez.
competed for a decade at 242 and water cut in as a power lifter. So it's all
Jeez.
cardio, all fighting, all training, and the switch to combat sports is setting in now. The reality of it, because I take things too seriously, of like, I'm gonna retire from powerlifting to pick up a little martial art here and there, to okay, it's a fight camp, okay, maybe next year it's a fight, and I'm getting close to 50. So I have to have this. My goal is, after this fight can't come back, maybe one smoker fight, or try and finish my combat sports career 1-0 and then
There you go.
retire.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, brother. That's awesome.
Now, are you taking a wifey with you, or are you going solo dolo so you can totally
This one
focus?
is just, we're calling ourselves the Middle Age Marauders. There's a bunch of other middle life crisis dudes in my Muay Thai class, and we're going together as a boys' trip. It's not really a girls' trip. We will literally be waking up at 5 in the morning and running, and then eating a bowl of gruel, and then training, and then strength and conditioning, and then training, and then sparring, and then we're essentially going to gladiator school. So no wives, reading a book, lights off at 10. Like, it's going to be militaristic a little bit. Like, there's going to be fun. We're going to be bullshitting around. We have free time at lunch. It's not prison, but it's very, very specifically focused for us to come out of this with what a pro fighter experience is, kind of thing.
Good
So no,
point.
no ladies on this one. No ladies. It's just a boys trip.
Oh wow. Well, hey man, I am proud of you because you have totally transformed your whole physique, which I know
Yeah.
takes a lot of
Yeah.
self
It's
sacrifice.
40 pounds since my last powerlifting meet is off my frame now. So
Jesus.
yeah,
That's
and
some
that's
weight
in
loss.
That's not even 2 years. We got 40 pounds in 18 months from the total switch from powerlifting to combat sports.
Jesus Christmas. I think my only goal is I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off between now and November, but it's maybe looking good because unfortunately the best part of my game now is the SWAT. So I might as well go for a new PR on the platform of at least 440 and
Nice.
see if I could pull it off. You know what I mean? Why not? You know what I mean? The SWAT has been the most consistent part of my game as of late.
That's
It's
awesome.
funny there, Nora. It's funny there on that one. The not training legs is the most consistent part of your game for how many years, and now it's your SWAT coming to save you in your time of need.
It's coming. Last meet, 413. It definitely saved me. The bench wasn't there, and the deadlift wasn't there, and the squat was the biggest motion. The squat was the biggest motion I had that day, and the cleanest of all my videos might have actually been the squat videos, which is kind of weird for me. So therefore, yeah, I might as well go for at least a 440 on squat, and hopefully the rotated cuff man bounce back. But right now, we'll see. See, it seems like when you get a little older and you're natural, after 300 pounds, your rotated cuff doesn't like you no more. I might have to throw some tests into my system and bring it back to life.
See, some AK MK677.
Hey, Ryan know the protocol. If I really wanted to do it, I just wouldn't be
Yep.
able to. I wouldn't be able to do non-tested for quite some time. So if it got that bad, I'm calling Ryan and they'll say, hey, what's the protocol?
No problem, buddy. No problem.
Because
This is
everybody
also,
lately
yeah.
been doing what's that, the Wolverine peptide, whatever, and
The Wolverine stack is HGH if you can afford it, MK if you can't, to increase your growth, BPC 157 for the soft tissues, and TB 500 for general health and immune system and things. And essentially, I've done this after injuries and things like that, and you heal like Wolverine. Like, it's not obviously like the cartoon, but I mean, injuries heal at double speed, or I was, after total tears coming back on the platform much faster and things like that. It's nuts. It's just it works. Not in terms of people. It's not a crazy PED. Your lifts aren't going up, but you're recovering faster, or from the injuries and stuff like that. The Wolverine stack is in right now.
Yeah, because I think like, it took me. I took a month off of just bench press, and the day was day one, and I was just like two reds were not even a red and a red was a struggle. 154 was a struggle. 205 was a
Oh,
struggle today.
it'll come
So,
back quick.
so
Mhm.
it's definitely concerning, but hey, that's life. But I love you guys, man. I will see you guys
Oh,
sometime in the future. And Ryan, good luck, man. I'm looking forward to seeing wherever you fight at.
keep
I'm going to be
posted
there.
for that. I really want to see that progress. That sounds insane.
Yeah, it
Wherever.
is. It has been a crazy transition so far. So, all right, thank you, boys. You have yourself a great time, and I'm sure we'll all be in touch soon, boys.
All right, love you guys.